I hadn't really shared anything that I've written. I've shared lots that Spirit has given me, but never anything that I have written. And I just want to share this. I think it'll probably hit home for a lot of you guys out there, and maybe kind of shed some light to others. You know, kind of what a guy goes through. You know, the armor of the knight. The armor of the knight shows the signs of his fight. His legs show the blows from the attacks and to stop him in his tracks. Attacks from the enemy of fear. Fear attacks are meant to scare the knight from even entering the fight. Yet he enters the battle despite these attacks. His waist shows the attacks of all those grabbing at him to pull him down and keep him entangled in their chains. These are the attacks of those who are constantly holding him back with the snares of unworthiness and lies that he will never find love because he is unlovable. Yet he enters the battle and slays his first enemy. His stomach shows the signs from his enemy of abandonment that attacks him with severe blows that shout out everyone will leave you as always, and you will be left to fight alone. Yet he fights on. His arms show the attacks from an enemy meant to disarm him of his weapon. Attacks from his enemy that uses the double-edged sword of doubt and worry. First he swings the sword and slashes him with the doubt of everyone and himself, which is followed up with a stab of worry meant to enforce the slash of doubt of everyone and himself. He is now hurt and wounded because he is doubting how everyone truly feels and sees him, which opens him up to doubting himself as to if the fight is even worth it or not. Now the worry starts to burn and sting the open wound because he now worries he will not be everything that everyone wants and needs him to be. And he worries that he cannot be all he needs to be for himself. Yet he picks his sword up and continues to fight as he moves forward, swinging wildly at all the enemies that continue to attack from every direction. The blow he takes to his chest plate is evident. It is the second in command, his hardest opponent yet. This enemy is that's attacking him at his heart. This enemy is nameless, but his attacks are known throughout the kingdom. They are loneliness, despair, mistrust, discouragement, vulnerability. The mighty knight is dropped and barely able to breathe. His heart is barely beating as these attacks have devastated him with the memories of those that have attacked him with these before. The difference now is he's older and has more attacks from enemies he thought were his allies who used them upon him. Yet he musters the strength to continue the fight as his armor is barely enough to protect his broken body. He knows that his main opponent is on the battlefield waiting for the opportunity to attack. Just as the knight begins to re-enter the fray, he is struck with a blow like no other. This blow is to his head, and his helmet is split in half. His adversary is attacked when he was at his most vulnerable, in his most vulnerable spot, his mind. This enemy is massive because he dons the armor and weapons of all the knight's fallen enemies he thought he defeated. Yet there they are, resurrected into one enemy, meant to drive the knight to his very end. The knight fights and fights, using his attacks that he used against his enemies and defeated them before. Alas, These attacks are no longer effective because he cannot fight all of them at one time because he is weak, wounded, and lost the will to fight. His enemy knows that the knight will soon be taking his last breath. Just as the knight is hoisted above his enemy's head to be thrown around again, his armor completely falls off, and his eyes are losing focus. Then, from out of somewhere deep within his very soul, something begins to stir. Something that starts to flow from his broken legs all the way to his shattered heart and then to his cracked skull. He starts to remember who he is and all the battles that he fought and won before this. He sees his home and his love that waits for him to return broken, bruised, wounded, and bleeding. In spite of all that, she loves him and he loves her. And he then knows his one last chance to defeat this enemy will require patience, forgiveness, understanding, so the final blow of love can be delivered. His attacks have been successful and the knight is won today. As the knight turns to look over the battlefield of his defeated enemies, he feels a cold chill because he knows all too well this was a tough battle, one all too familiar. Yet our knight walks away knowing that tomorrow this battle will be fought again, as it is every day, with new armor. He prays he will one day never have to don again the armor, because the battle will finally be no more.